What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It looks like the video game scalpers are at it again, this time continuing to target Nintendo, but it seems that Nintendo is fighting back here, even coming up with a few hoops that those people would have to jump through to even try to buy a Switch 2, but we'll go over all of that here today. Also, we're going to be talking about Microsoft as they head towards their next generation project Helix, amidst the ever-rising costs of RAM, and how they have plans to try to make things more affordable. And yeah, ads in video games were brought up, so we'll take a look at all of that. And then we also have to take a look at Valve with Steam and a situation right now when it comes to physical gift cards and how Valve apparently is moving away from all of that. But we'll go over that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Ubisoft and what else but more layoffs in the video game space. In fact, there was this interesting thing that was happening where Ubisoft was going through job cuts and they had it all under embargo for press outlets, but then Insider Gaming got word of this and started running a report. It was a whole thing, but now we seem to have maybe a clearer picture here as to how many jobs are affected, and we can see this. This is over on Insider Gaming. They made a little list here of all the different studios that were affected, but it appears to be roughly 380 positions that are being cut. Ubisoft Winnipeg at the top with 65 employees laid off, and the studio is closed. There's Ubisoft Belgrade, and that's approximately 100 employees were laid off, and that studio is closed. Ubisoft Barcelona with 51 employees laid off. Rainbow Six Siege with 120 employees ramped off. And then Ubisoft San Francisco with an undisclosed number of employees being laid off. And I guess it's not surprising because we've heard about so many layoffs in the video game industry over the last 2 or 3 years now. I mean, it's been pretty consistent here going forward. And Ubisoft, above everyone else, has an absurd amount of employees anyway. They have, I think, depending on how many jobs they've been cutting anyway over the last couple years, they're like 20,000 employees, that's a lot. So, I mean, I assume they're going to keep trimming workforce as we go along. So something tells me we'll probably hear more about this from Ubisoft in, at this point, probably the coming years. Also, we do have Lies of P coming out on the Switch 2 this October. And interestingly enough, we got word that the physical copy is actually on the cartridge, and it's a shame that that is news, by the way. It's like, is it a game key card? Probably. Oh wait, it's not a game key card, and in fact, you can see it here. Now, this is over on Amazon. They have this listed up here as the Lies of P Complete Edition. They have it listed as October 2nd for the game releasing, but you can see no little banner at the bottom with the key card symbol, and they're even going a little further here with, what is this, collector's cards, I guess? They have 6 of them, so I guess that plays into the lore with the different images for this game. This is the complete edition, by the way, so it does have the expansion, the Overture prequel expansion that's packed in. If you look around on other platforms, the base game is, I think, like 50 or 60 bucks. The expansion's like 25 to 30, so this is about right. This does, I will admit, line up with the typical pricing, although we have seen it on sale over and over and over again at this point on other platforms. So, I mean, hey, you can always wait for a sale for this, but it was just nice, a nice surprise. It's actually on the physical cartridge that you buy. What a world. Oh, and we had some pretty big numbers that were revealed for Summer Game Fest, with Jeff Keighley saying this over on his social media account, saying, "Thank you for making this our most watched Summer Game Fest yet." And 62 million live streams, 6.7 million, that felt intentional, peak concurrent, and I think they go around, they count all the co-streams and other things that are happening here just to track and see where their audience sits, but up 23% over 2025, so, I mean, in his mind, yeah, they're trending in the right direction, although just in general, these Jeff Keighley events have only gotten larger and larger year over year. I mean, we're talking like Game Awards, 100-something million. It's insane stuff there, to the point where he's even just on Amazon Prime being streamed because he has gotten to that level. So the thing I will give Jeff credit for, I am happy that he is in the video game space and he is attempting as much as possible to push it forward. Yes, you'll see a lot of mainstream that pays attention, but that's kind of how it works with how expensive these games are. But it is nice to see someone who is actually trying to make a show like this happen. Like each year, in the summer, whether there are great reveals or not, in lieu of, I mean, at this point, E3 just going away. So, hey, Summer Game Fest rolling along, only getting bigger year over year. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and their battle against scalpers in Japan for the Switch 2, because they issued a statement on this, and we can see this. Now, this is over on just the official Nintendo account. Coming out of Japan, so it has been machine translated here. But to say regarding the sale of the Nintendo Switch 2, specifically though, the multi-language compatible Switch 2 at the Nintendo Store. Important to note, there is the Japan-only region lock, so that's just basically region locked by only having Japanese language on it. But there's a multi-language one that is also sold in Japan for more money. They say they've identified multiple orders suspected of scalping and other such activities, so we had temporarily suspended sales. It's pretty important, I feel like, to at least explain why they stopped sales of the Switch 2 on their Nintendo Store, because that's going to, of course, raise a lot of questions. However, they have some requirements now, if you would like to buy one through their store, and they kind of make sense. So, okay, if you're selling multiple systems to a scalper, they're probably not playing a bunch of games or have an account that has logged a bunch of games or hours, say, on a Switch system. What they're saying here, Nintendo, is as of 11:59 p.m. on May 31st, 2026, Sunday, the playtime on the Nintendo Switch must be 50 hours or more. That excludes demo software, free software, and the number of units can be purchased is limited to 1 per Nintendo account. My only thing with this is if let's say you completely missed out on the Switch 1, you weren't really interested in games that time, and you're coming back for the Switch 2 because, oh look, Ocarina of Time Remake gets announced. You don't really have the ability to show that you have 50 hours on the Switch, but Nintendo right now, with where the yen is in relation to other parts of the world in terms of currency exchange, it is getting to a position where, with the price, as we know, of the Switch 2 going up in places like the US, where later on this year, by the way, holiday season, when it's like prime time buying season, it's going up to 500 and 550, we figure, for the bundles. So with that in mind, if you're going to Japan or having many of them sent out, it seems like the conversion rate, say for the US, is like $425, $430. Oh, there's shipping and other things involved. But I guess that's enough to where I guess people are buying up a bunch of these, as Nintendo's own findings are at least showing here, and then shipping them around different parts of the world to resell them. Now, there might be more lucrative places in the world to sell a multi-language Switch 2 out of Japan, because the currency exchange rate or just the going rate of the Switch 2 in that part of the world. But one thing's for sure, it seems like right now Japan is like prime location for buying Switch 2 systems and then shipping them out. And well, with that in mind, I mean, if we take a look here, now these would be the sales from the Famitsu charts for last week. They were revealed pretty recently. And we can see at the top, it is Tamagotchi Life leading the way at 50,000 copies. And Tamagotchi Life is just rolling along. And then we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with 30,000 copies. It's an alright opening. The thing is, though, the game's already been out for a bit now, obviously on the PlayStation 5, but it is also a game key card, so I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to think about game key cards as, I should probably just buy it digitally. These track physical sales, okay? eFootball Kickoff on the Switch 2 at 20,000 copies. Then we have Pokemon Pocopia, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Mario Kart World, 007 First Light, Minecraft on the Switch, A-Train, alright? And then look at this. Astrobot making a big-time comeback to number 10, jumped over 100%, by the way, from the week prior to get into that top 10. But if we go over to the hardware here, you can see the Switch 2, it is down quite a bit, 23,000 systems. And obviously significantly less than when they were doing multiple hundreds of thousands of units when that price increase was first announced in Japan. The point here is now, though, the Switch 2 is, yes, just more expensive in Japan, making it harder and harder to buy the system. So it's going to be interesting to follow along with the Switch 2 as we go forward this year and get towards the end of the year, of course. But Nintendo, they need big releases as they go along. They're getting the third-party support, and I'm sure that will help them somewhat. But things like Ocarina of Time Remake, I think will be paramount, especially in like the US for their holiday season. And then you have like Fire Emblem being a big one and a few others, again, as we go along. So This will be interesting to follow, and I guess Nintendo's battle with Scalpers over their Switch and Switch 2 hardware will continue on too. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft as they go into their next generation with Project Helix, as Matthew Ball, who we've already discussed here after the Xbox Games Showcase happened, had quite a bit to say as he's been making the rounds in different interviews. And so for example, there was a video that was posted in an interview with Matthew Ball, and here he is talking about the overall approach to Project Helix and how they're going to figure this one out. So he talks about the memory storage situation that will, of course, impact next generation. Obviously, if it's 30 gigabytes starting in terms of system memory on the Xbox or even like the PlayStation 6, that's going to be quite a bit more expensive than what we have right now, which is already expensive with the PS5 and the Xbox Series. Now, he does say they are committed to shipping Helix. That is going to happen, okay? But they're rethinking everything, again, about Helix, and their goals right now: make it affordable, make it flexible, and rethink the console model in an additive way. So how can they go about that? Well, in an interview with The Game Business, he says this: the costs have gone up way too high on development. At the same point, everyone feels terrible with prices going up on hardware or software or microtransactions. That is a challenge. It's not good if that is the only option. I think the best evidence comes from the TV streaming space. In excess of 100% of net ads in the United States for years and years have been on the ad-supported tier. That has not excluded anyone from ad-free experiences. Those products are still there. They're still popular. The question is not, can we cram ads in everything? The question is, are there opportunities to allow the people who can't afford or wouldn't try to have an onboard to our properties and franchises? I don't have anything to report on Microsoft plans. I frankly not read into them despite my interest in the category, but it is coming from that perspective of how do we reach more people? How do we keep our products affordable? How do we make sure that we can continue to fund outstanding work from our development teams? That's the goal. It's not about placing an ad in front of someone so that we can sell, a pizza. Although Pizza Hut would probably like that right now, just based on my area and how there's not many of them around. But the point here is ad-supported experiences. And I know that when people hear that, they go, hold on a minute, this game cost me $70. I don't need to see ads. And product placement's been a thing like forever. It's been in like full price games, movies, TV shows. And when it's not obvious, it's just subtle, people don't think mind as much. I think it's more so when you start up a game and it's like, hold on, you got to watch 30 seconds of this ad, then you can play a game. That's the future I think people are like really concerned about right now. And I do think that could actually happen for like a free tier for Game Pass. It makes, to me, it's like a really bad idea to try that with something that costs $23, $20, $15 a month. Now, there are streaming tiers with, Netflix or Amazon, wherever, where they do have ads, even if you pay money, but it's like a cheaper tier. And that's what they're looking at right now. It seems like just in terms of their market research. But I think the one tier that would actually make sense to have an ad like that is if it's just free, because then you're not putting out any money and you're like, well, okay, this is how I pay for firing up Gears of War E-Day or Fortnite or something, from my phone in a hotel room somewhere or something. Or who knows, maybe some people, that's enough for them and they just stream it through their TV app and they watch an ad, a 30-second ad every, 15 or 20 minutes or something to keep playing. But one thing's for sure, Microsoft will be looking into many, I'd even say unorthodox ways to try to get prices down for their hardware that right now sounds exorbitant. And I do also wonder if their plans are changing for hardware configurations or allowing maybe third-party hardware manufacturers to use the chip that they develop for their own configurations, whether they want to tackle the more expensive tier of system or go for like the cheapest of the cheap if possible. Like, what's the fewest amount of memory chips we can put in here? Can we actually get the price down to, at this point, just the Xbox Series X level? It's going to be interesting though, seeing Microsoft try to figure this out as they're committed to shipping. People think this thing's coming out holiday 2027. So we'll be at this point 6 months maybe away from them at least starting to talk about it more thoroughly at a place like GDC. Next up, let's talk about Valve and Steam. As it appears, gift cards coming from Valve, like physical gift cards, are going away. And this made some waves online because people were trying to figure out what the deal is here and if it really is as straightforward as what Valve is saying, which we can see. Now, this is over on their own Steam-powered website saying, as Steam gift cards run out of stock at retail locations, we will not be restocking them. We expect all retailers to be out of stock by the end of 2026, though we will no longer be selling physical gift cards. You will still have the ability to use your existing gift cards on Steam whenever you choose, subject to local laws. We also continue to offer Steam digital gift cards and are working to make this an even better experience. Guest checkout, which we added last year, is another way for family members and friends to gift Steam users with a digital card anytime. And that's a shame because I'm sure there's many grandmothers out there. This was the go-to. It's like you're at the register, you're looking around, you're like, I'll just get them the gift card off the CVS shelf or something, buy it, and that's it. Easy enough. Not so fast now, though. It's gonna be like, oh wait, now we gotta go through the Steam portal, and what is this? So that is kind of a shame in that regard, but Valve kind of frames this as, this is an easy out for people who are trying to scam others to get money from them without it being tracked. And they're not necessarily wrong about that. That is, so you get one of those weird fishy phone calls like, oh, your card's been stolen. You gotta do all this, and then we're gonna do a test transaction of $300, but we'll break it up into 3 different gift cards, and here's how you're gonna do it. You're gonna read the code to us. Okay, look, I understand that is a thing, but this also kind of removes the idea of being able to buy almost anonymously if you just don't want to put your card information into Steam or really any of these platforms. If they work away from physical cards at the register, it just once again relies more and more heavily on all these different vendors like like Valve with Steam or PlayStation or Nintendo or Xbox to just take care of everything on their end with your card and the privacy stuff and people being kind of concerned about security breaches. It's nice to have the option of a physical gift card that you can even just trade stuff in if you want, at like a GameStop or something. So I saw pop up and people were like scratching their heads a bit. I get the out of there being scammers out there that obviously leverage gift cards. I don't think that's the whole story. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about what I think is one of the standout titles from the last week, and that's Final Fantasy Resonance. Now, there was a preview that happened with IGN, and I was going through it, and I just jotted a few things down here to go over, and we can take a look at some of their gameplay here. Now, they were able to play roughly 3 hours in this preview setting, and the story itself is based on, it's like the mobile game Bravely Exvius. I never really got into it, but it is not that game rebuilt here, okay? So they're pulling from the story and the lore of that, but this game is built from the ground up, okay? So there's like some miscommunication or whatever about that. No, it is not the mobile game being retooled. This one is built like straight up brand new, okay? But it is fine-tuned to create, in this way, a traditional RPG. That's right, so it's fully turn-based. It's not like active time battle. There are random battles, and they say specifically, yeah, we want random battles because that's kind of how it was back in the day, and this is sort of a nostalgia play here for the most part. But they do show an airship, which looks awesome, kind of in this HD 2D style. You can fly around between multiple continents, and they're separated by water that you can see here. Again, really playing into that old school 16-bit vibe. But you can also ride around on chocobos. There is a stagger system in those turn-based battles, which I was replaying Final Fantasy 13 a bit kind of recently, so I saw that and went, oh, that definitely looks Final Fantasy 13-esque there, okay? But they do have the iconic Final Fantasy characters. They said they're equipped as visions, and at times we're even comparing some of these older Final Fantasy characters to like, I saw people comparing to like personas or something. But these different visions include a bunch of different characters. Zidane, Cloud, Squall. It's pretty cool to see these different visions pop up, and I think unlocking them is gonna be awesome, okay? Because it's gonna show moments from past Final Fantasy games, but not necessarily in this style. So I think it'll be something that contrast will really stand out. 30 to 40 hours though for the main story, and they say significantly more if you want to do an entire 100% run. It's coming out on the Xbox Series, the PlayStation 5, the Switch 2, and the PC. Unfortunately, this is a Switch 2 game keycard. I have to check to see if there is an upgrade path, because then the play would be you get it on the Switch 1 on the cartridge and just do like a little upgrade path to the Switch 2, if that is in play. October 22nd for this one. So, I mean, I'm there day one. It looks awesome. I like the idea of a, like, like an original, I know again, still based on the mobile game's lore, but like an original built from the ground up HD 2D Final Fantasy game. This is the first one. And I know people are calling for Chrono Trigger to go in this style, and I guess it still could. I believe that Chrono Trigger is worthy of its own style completely. I don't think it needs to go in HD 2D. I think that is a landmark game that Square really needs to think about how they're going to approach that, if indeed they want to. But for Final Fantasy Resonance, I think it looks great. Let me know your thoughts on that one though, especially coming out of the presentation where it was first shown, and if you're going to be picking it up as we head towards the holiday season. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, did you buy or receive a gift card for a gaming platform? So like PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, Steam, anything else like that over the last year? 61% say no, 39% say yes. I will say it's, like for me back in the day, the gift card was legitimately just, oh, here's a GameStop gift card, here's a Walmart gift card. Still kind of is for Walmart and Amazon. But now I feel like it's just much more prevalent to get the stocking stuffer or the birthday card, you know, like outfalls a Steam gift card or an Xbox one or something like that. So for the physical gift card to go away for Steam, I do think that is a big deal for the mainstream. People who aren't as like tuned in and they're like, oh, I'll go to the web portal and get a code and print it out, and there are just more steps than that, like that immediate purchase, that impulse buy of, okay, here's the gift, I'm done, just a $100 Steam gift card, throw it in the birthday card, and I'm out, right? I don't necessarily buy the reasoning of, oh, it's just because of scammers. I do think there's something else in play here. Some have mentioned the idea that there's like the ID verification stuff that's happening, and having a gift card that can just be purchased at the register is one more way for an account to stay anonymous, and I guess that's part of it, but the whole thing just seems weird and feels kinda out of left field. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Alden, who says, if a game costs more than $60, a demo is expected at minimum. Let us decide if it is worth it. Most of the time, they aren't worth it. You know what I would like to see going forward? And this is where I figured cloud gaming or cloud streaming could really be effective. So for a demo, the studio, developer, publisher, whoever has to provide that demo. So not all of them will, because like there is work involved. But I like the idea of maybe something with the next, we'll just say the next Xbox, because cloud streaming has also come up. Maybe there's a way where they set it up and they go, hey, look, you can, with your game, you can maybe have a start and end point, or just a spot where they start for the demo and it's timed, and we just cloud stream it to them. They don't download anything, and that way they can just try the game out and see what they think. So you could place them at level 3, just past the beginning opening part, and you think it's a good spot, kind of out of context. Maybe there's a lot of action there, if it's like a third-person shooter or something, and they just try the game out that way. That would be really cool if that was system level, and just something that I think would definitely help customers and make the decision, but at times for publishers it can also hurt the decision. So you're right in that not all of them want to, but I think it would just make the overall buying experience like significantly better if you hit a button and it just starts up a section of the game for X amount of time so you can actually try it out yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here on a card, or maybe you wanted to hear about how the situation between Microsoft and Sony getting kind of messy with the Xbox reveals getting pulled out of state of plays, or games on the PS5 even being canceled. I did a whole video looking into that, and I'll leave right below. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.